All right, the latest that is coming into the explosion and fire that was reported from the naval dockyard in Mumbai. A high-level probe has been ordered into the blast and fire on INS Sindurakshak. Naval sources have told headlines today that there is strong likelihood that accidental weapon detonation in the forward area that houses the torpedoes caused this explosion. Right, so see, just a day before the Independence Day of the country, there's been a massive explosion and fire on board Indian Navy submarine INS Sindurakshak that was docked at very high security naval dockyard in Mumbai. There are about 18 sailors, 18 naval personnel who are still unaccounted for. The vessel, we believe, has been gutted in the fire. Salvage operations clearly still on. So massive explosion that was reported a little after midnight, and then the fire that was reported, which was brought under control at about 3 this morning. Several fire tenders that were rushed to the spot from the naval dockyard and also from the Mumbai Fire Brigade to put out this massive fire. Jugal Purohit is with us right now on the phone line. Well, the loss of this submarine is a major setback, even as the extent of damage is being assessed. What is it that you're learning from your sources in the Indian Navy about the possible reason behind this explosion?
Well, Ruchika, the thing is, given the location where this has happened, as I said, it's taken place in the front end of the submarine Sindurakshak. It is the area where essentially all the torpedoes are stocked. In fact, the majority of the torpedoes and missiles are stocked and fired from. So there is no doubt. Sources are in fact telling us that the fact that the fire subsequently transformed itself into 3 major explosions, and that one of the torpedoes is actually shot off and thankfully evaded a submarine standing which was berthed in front of the Sindurakshak and hit a wall, goes to show that the weapons have, of course, gotten detonated owing to a certain reason. And the fact is that the Sindurakshak was a submarine which was awaiting orders for a war patrol. What does that mean? That essentially means that the entire crew, entire complement of officers and men were getting ready to go on mission. That essentially is also the time when the submarine is completely armed, the submarine is completely stocked, and submarine is being prepared to go out for a long deployment. So that, in that state, in that location at the time, and given the visuals of what we have, the exclusive visuals which have been accessed by our Bombay Bureau, go to show that there is no doubt that there has been an accidental detonation of weapons. You're aware that this ship has several missiles and torpedoes, among them the Globe missile, a Russian missile which was recently fitted on board the Sindurakshak, only going to show that there is no doubt that there is a detonation which has taken place. Why it happened, how it happened, the extent of which, the damage which it has caused, obviously resulted into the submarine now resting at the bottom of the sea, around 12 meters of depth at the Bombay harbour where she is right now. And the 18 persons on board, 15 sailors and 3 men, continue to remain unaccounted for. Ruchika?
Right. Of course, a board of inquiry that has now been set up will actually determine how exactly this incident took place, this accident took place. Shiv Arun, our deputy editor, is also with us on the phone line right now. Shiv, what more are you learning at this stage? We know the focus primarily right now for the Navy is to rescue those people, the sailors who were inside the submarine at the time of this explosion. But at the same time, what more are we learning about damage, considering that this is a dockyard and there are several other vessels that may have been docked in the vicinity of this submarine?
Ruchika, I hate to say this, but it's not looking good at all. We're getting unofficial reports of the kind of damage that has been wrought by this explosion, and I think anybody who's looking at these images, at this this enormous explosion captured from kilometers outside the naval dockyard, will immediately assume that there's very little chance that the damage will be slight. It's pretty extensive. We're hearing very many theories right now, but we have to be cautious at this time about the information that we actually, put out as a responsible channel. There may be other channels putting out other information, but we've got to be very careful about what we put out at this time, because there are 18 souls on board, that submarine, and we have to hope against every last hope that they are still alive. Because we're hearing that, the damage has been so extensive and these people are still unaccounted for. Like Jugal was pointing out, there are 3 officers, including the executive officer or XO, who is the second senior-most officer on board a submarine of that kind, along with 15 sailors who were on board when that explosion took place shortly after midnight. The commanding officer of the submarine, Captain Rajesh Ramkumar, was not on board the submarine. It was very late in the night. He was not on board the ship. But he is, I can confirm to you, at the Mumbai Naval Dockyard. He is actively assisting in the rescue and relief operations. He's assisting with whatever's happening there as far as the salvage is concerned, because we can confirm that the submarine suffered such major damage that it immediately sank. It is almost completely invisible right now. It is almost completely sunk beneath the waterline, with only a very small part of its conning tower, which is the part that juts out over the back of the submarine, visible from the dockyard side. So as of now, things looking extremely bad. The Navy chief, like Jugal reported first, is likely to reach the Mumbai Naval Dockyard at just before 10 o'clock. He got on the phone with the Western Commander of the Western Naval Command, Ruchika, Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, very late last night. They've been in constant touch. His office has been apprised of the situation, and this is likely to turn out to be one of the worst tragedies to hit the Navy. You tweeted just a short while ago, it's been a great week for the Navy, and this tragedy comes at such an inopportune time. There's never a good time for this to happen, but this is something that the Navy is going to be extremely concerned about, especially since the Sindurakshak just came back after a very expensive 3-year refit, in Russia, Ruchika, and the theory is doing the rounds at this point of time. I'll quickly wrap up by saying that there could be an accidental detonation of weapons, because the Sindurakshak carries both torpedoes and cruise missiles. There could also have been some kind of a malfunction of its battery. It's a large diesel-electric submarine which has a very large battery that actually runs it while it is diving. So there may have been a fire and an explosion in the battery as well. And we should tell our viewers that a battery on board a submarine isn't something harmless. It's a massive piece of component. It's a subsystem that can kill several people if it actually catches fire, because of the materials that go into the making of that particular battery. So a battery explosion on board a submarine is not as innocuous as it may perhaps sound. So as of now, this is the information that we have. 18 people, including 3 officers, 15 sailors, still unaccounted for. Some people fearing the worst. But as soon as we get confirmed information about the damage, about the casualties, we will put them out first on headlines today. But for now, unofficially, 18 souls on board that submarine, and we have to hope that each and every one of them is still alive.
Let's hope they can be brought out to safety. What a terrible news India is waking up to, Shivarur. Many thanks for giving us that comprehensive update. A major fire that broke out last night in the Mumbai Naval Dockyard after an explosion that was reported on board the INS Sindurakshak submarine. Well, 18 people, like she was mentioning, were on board that submarine at the time of this accident, and they're now believed to be trapped. Well, retired Admiral A.K. Singh is with us on the phone line right now. Admiral Singh, what a setback it is for the Indian Navy in a week where we had seen INS Arihant reach criticality. Also, at the same time, we saw the launch of Vikrant just 2 days ago. Just reflect on the news that is just coming in this morning.
It's a very major setback. First of all, I hope all the 18 crew members are rescued safe and sound. Yes, it's a very major setback because Arihant is still to do sea trials. That Vikrant aircraft carrier will get operational by 2018. What you had here was a frontline submarine which had just come after major repairs in Russia, and it was the most potent weapon we had. It had land attack cruise missiles, it had anti-ship missiles, it had torpedoes, and at a time when our submarine force levels were dwindling, it was our frontline weapon, and it's a very major setback, yes.
Right. Admiral Singh, only a board of inquiry that has now been constituted, and when it comes to some sort of conclusion on what exactly happened, what caused this fire, we'll know probably where things went wrong. At this stage, nothing can be ruled out. But how big a setback do you think is this incident, this accident for Indian Navy's operational capabilities?
I just explained, it's a very, very major setback. It was our frontline submarine which had just come back after modernization in Russia, very expensive modernization. It had land attack capability. It had anti-ship capability. A lot of money was spent in modernizing and upgrading the submarine. And at a time when our submarine force levels are declining alarmingly, this was our frontline submarine.
Well, India losing its frontline submarine there. Admiral Singh, thank you for joining us. So clearly a big setback there, losing this submarine at the harbour there to an accident apparently that took place last night. An explosion that was followed by blaze at the Mumbai dockyard. We also have Commodore Uday Bhaskar now joining us on the phone line. Commodore Bhaskar, a big embarrassment and a setback for the Indian Navy with this incident. India losing its frontline submarine INS Sindurakshak that was docked to this high security installation. Just put this in perspective for us, what really this means.
Well, as you said, clearly I would agree that this is a setback for the Navy, and the fact that a submarine that has just come back from Russia after having gone through an upgrade, and for this kind of an accident to take place will have a certain bearing on the numbers and the overall submarine capability as far as the Indian Navy is concerned. But if I could just add, I would not, as I said at this point, jump to any conclusion and say that it's quote-unquote an embarrassment, since you use the word, mainly because, you know, a submarine as a platform has an inherent risk, which is always associated by the very nature of the platform. Now, it's very unfortunate that there was an accident of this nature. I think we're all concerned, and the highest priority is about the safety of the personnel who were trapped on board. But for a submarine, whether it's at sea or whether it is alongside, safety is something that submariners internalize. The Board of Inquiry will establish as to what exactly had transpired and what new measures need to be introduced. So I'm just at this point, as I said, urging that let's not jump to any conclusion about is this a major embarrassment, because I just say that professionally it's a setback. Yes, accidents do happen when we talk about military inventory items.
Right.
And the professional endeavor is to ensure, first to find out the sequence of events and then to ensure that this does not happen again. So as I said, for a submariner, this is cause definitely for concern, but let's wait for all the details before we actually characterize this.
Right, Commodore Bhaskar, appreciate your joining us and sharing with us your thoughts on a day when India is waking up to this terrible news of a fire and an explosion that was reported from INS Sindurakshak that was docked at the naval dockyard in Mumbai. The primary concern right now is to bring those 18 trapped to safety. Well, they're still unaccounted for. Salvage operations, as our correspondents have been reporting, continuing since late last night.